Hello everyone. Today's topic is about the vlog number 2, which is revolves around the guest speaker Ala Yusuf. And his topic was separated into three sections. The first one is about container clouds, and most importantly, all the technology he spoke about was open source technology. So Docker containers. So he spoke about the basics first, which revolves around an image, which is the first thing that's done in the program, then a container, which has the Docker itself, the Docker hub, and finally the Docker engine, which the user uses the program engine in a virtual machine. So he went on to the advantages of using a container. One advantage is standardization and the application portability, where it can be used in any virtual machine or operating system. There is also the advantage of it being lightweight and functioning very fast, and it's ecosystem friendly, and finally user friendly. An important aspect about that is that in terms of security, it is as reliable as a virtual machine with containers, which is a big problem that people speak about when encountered with new technology. So he then showed the layers of Docker technology, and he focused on an example of application 3 and application 4, where it would use Tomcat and Ubuntu. And it doesn't allow for redundancy, which is very important. Um, and that it does not affect the program when you write because it uses a copy on write file system. So he then compared between virtual machines and containers, where in virtual machines case there are two types, and one type, which is the typical one, he said had the hardware, the host operating system, and then the hypervisor into the virtual machine. When you use it itself, a key difference was that between it and containers is that in virtual machines case it had a guest operating system. With containers, it uses the operating system itself, and it didn't need a new operating system. He explained some commands as well: Docker build, Docker push, Docker pull, run, stop, and finally attach and exit. Also, he spoke about DevOps, and that is the person who develops the program, who is responsible for keeping it intact, and is the person who is called when there are problems faced with the program. So the second topic I'll be speaking about, which is container orchestration, and he gave three examples: Swarm, Compose, and finally Kubernetes. And Kubernetes is the one he focused on and gave examples of because it's the most popular one that's used currently. And he showed some basic concepts. He skipped some of them, but he spoke about pod and the importance of it, and that there's a replica set and services and namespace, which was very important. He showed also the architecture with Kubernetes and how there are worker nodes and how it then goes into the Kubernetes, and there are schedulers and persistent data store and cloud providers, which are the pluggable components. He showed an example of a template, but he didn't go into it. He just showed it. There is he showed also a diagram of the things that he explained, which I talked about previously. And then the program that he's working on, the IBM Container Service. And the final thing is, it's the microservices. And it is the highest level in Docker technology. So he showed the difference between monolithic app and microservices. and how in monolith app every component of the application is inside one one place. On the other hand, with microservices, each part of the program is by itself, and together they function um, based on the functions of that specific section. He showed the differences and how many developers you need for each one. In monolith case, it needs so much more developers. In microservices case, it's based on each section of the microservices that a developer would use, and how when it's updated, monolith has to be updated as a whole. When in microservices case, it's based on each section that it can be updated instead of all of them at once. He showed the complexity and how the functionality at the start is very high and then it goes down low with monolith. But with microservices, it starts slower than monolith, but it's kept at a constant level, and it doesn't go down low when it to become complex. And finally, he showed the program, the microservice used amalgam 8, and showed examples of how it works and the functionality of it. And that was the final thing. Thank you.